Have you ever wanted to add shred licks into your solos like this? Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to blend shred ideas into your playing step by step. And it's way easier than you think. Whether you're a blues player or a rock guitarist or anything else, you can sneak in a few shred elements to instantly level up your solos. Let's jump in. Tab for today's lesson, also a bonus step 6, which is pretty epic, I might add, are available on my Patreon. The link is down below. Patreon is not only a great place to support me and this channel, but also you gain access to great lessons broken down with Tab, going over theory, shred licks, technique, how to practice, modes, how to improvise, literally everything you need to know about guitar. So if you're interested in any of that or just supporting the channel, join my Patreon. The link is down below. Thank you guys so much. Step 1 is to choose one chord progression or backing track to focus on for the next 2 to 6 weeks, maybe longer if you need it, maybe a little less time if you're making the progress that you want to see. But this is one of the biggest mistakes I see a lot of players having is they're always playing to different chord progressions, different backing tracks, and they're never getting really good at one specific arrangement. They're always changing and they can never get ideas down because of it. So today we're going to be exploring ideas over this very simple backing track. It's a C major track and the progression is just over and over again the same thing. It's a C major chord to A minor to F to G, just over and over again. Or you could look at it as a 1 6 4 5, something like this in the key of C major. It's just that over and over again. It builds intensity a little bit, but it's just that same chord progression constantly. And what I love about that is it helps us focus and strategize ways to throw in cool licks. It's not always changing. The drum groove's not changing crazy. The chord progression's not changing crazy. It helps us sit down and it kind of gets boring, which is a beautiful thing because it allows us to focus and be creative and practice getting this backing track, getting this chord progression, and getting the licks that we're working on very focused and smoothly. We don't want to be jumping all over different backing tracks and chord progressions. We'll get nowhere. It makes progress difficult. Step 2 is melody is king. Shred licks will never sound good if you're not surrounding it with great melodies that resonate with you and the listener. It will literally just sound like a bunch of random notes, constant flowing randomly on the fretboard. There's nothing musical about it. And that's what a lot of guys don't like about shred is when guys are doing that. Because you got to understand melody is king. And everything you play shred-wise is dependent upon the melody. No matter what you try to play shred-wise, you do not sacrifice the melody. Melody is the foundation. It's the starting point. Even if you're improvising or composing a solo, think of the melody first, follow that, and be rigid within the bounds of that melody. The shred is just a way of connecting and flowing and spicing up the melody, not a way of taking away from the melody. So if you're ever playing a shred lick and you're missing the melody, you're landing outside the melody, you're distracting the melody, you are playing a bad shred lick, or you're not placing it properly, which we're going to get into in the future. Just remember always, melody is king. That's the foundation. Nothing we do shred-wise is to interfere with that. One thing that's helped me shred better and faster has always been coffee, what I like to call practice fuel. And I just released this brand new practice fuel holder over on my website, jordanstill.store. And if you want to ensure that you make the shred progress that you've always wanted, you need some shred practice fuel and of course a beautiful holder for it to keep you energized and focused. And you can find this on my website linked below in the description. All right, step 3 is to use shred licks the way a drummer uses drum fills. Drummers will often use a drum fill at the end of the form of the chord progression. So in this case, since we're playing C, A minor, F, G, they might do a drum fill on the G chord that's flowing back into the C chord, the restart of the form of the progression. Or the other common way that they'll use a drum fill is to build up the intensity into a new direction of the song, whether it's like verse into chorus, chorus into bridge, bridge into solo. They use it as a way to build up intensity and make you hear and feel a transition in the music. And that's how we should start off using shred licks as well. They're ways for us to transition our solo, build intensity, and it's also a way to establish the restart of the form of the progression. It adds a little spice, a little flavor, breaks away from the melody for a moment, re-energizes the listener, and then establishes the next form of the solo or the next direction of the story that you're telling with your melody. But, and this is super, super key, probably the biggest takeaway that you guys should have from this video, just like a drummer who does a drum fill and misses his exit, right? In this case, say he does a drum fill on the G chord going back to C at the beginning of the form. If he doesn't land on the downbeat of C, going right back to the solid groove, he messed up. Everybody in the band's going to be like, yo, dude, what's going on? Why'd you mess that up? No drum fill is allowed to land outside the bounds of the groove. You could have the coolest drum fill ever, but if you don't land at the right time to end that fill, you've kind of destroyed the whole thing. I've been in experiences in my playing that a drummer went for a cool drum fill. It sounded epic in the moment, but they missed the landing. Throws the band off. It doesn't sound good. It sounds loose. It's not a good sound. And the same thing is to be said about our shred licks. If we do a shred lick and it sounds epic, oh my gosh, this is incredible, but we land and we mess up the melody, we land at the wrong time, on the wrong note, we lose our melody, we lose our groove, it's going to just destroy the whole shred lick. It was kind of pointless. It was actually negative to the song instead of an addition to the solo, right? So with that mindset, you need to always strategize when you're practicing, okay, I'm going to do this shred lick starting here, and that's going to end here on this note melodically. In the next step, step 4, we'll dive into some examples of what this looks like on the fretboard, but that is the key. We are drummers. We start off by using drum fills at the change of form or at the change of a transition musically. And before that and in between that, we're just sticking straight melody, okay? Now, as a solo progression, and we are guitar players, so we can get a little spicier than some other instruments can, but we start off by using shred licks at the restart of the form, and that's what we're going to go over here in a second, or as a way to transition the solo to either a more laid back or a more intense emotional story that you're trying to tell with your melody. But we use that to transition. We're not just flowing shred licks randomly, right? They need to be in the pocket, and you need to know exactly when you're coming in, when you're ending, and what melodic note that you're ending on. Because we do not ever want to lose the melody. Melody is king. No matter how cool what we do in our shred lick, if we don't end it at the right time, on the right note, we have just lost the entire key to the kingdom of great solos. All right, now let's dive into step 4, which is some hands-on ways to start adding shred licks, the easy and proper way into your solos. All right, so like I said, this backing track is in the key of C major, so if you know your pentatonic shapes, or your major scale shape, those are all very, very useful. I want to start off by, we can just do a shred lick on the last beat of the last measure of the form. So in this case, since the progression's a C to an A minor, F to a G, when that G chord's happening, we can count 1, 2, 3, 4, right? On that beat 4, we do a lick. We're going to start off super, super simple. Got to make sure it lands right back on the root with a very strong melody note. On the downbeat, I'm going to just start off with the 16th note. Let's just take these notes right here. Right? So that's our melody note right there on the downbeat. And this comes in, this is going to be 4, E, and it's going to happen over the G chord. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, E, and 1. Right, let me put a drum track on before we turn the backing track on. All right, this drum track might be a different tempo than the backing track, but we'll go with it. So I'm going to play through the progression, and you'll hear how I'm thinking about this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1. Boom. All right, so that's one way we can practice it, is literally just doing that. We're just 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 1. Right? Or we could just play root notes. So I'm going to turn the track on, and we're going to demonstrate. I'm not even going to really play a melody. I'm just going to play the root notes of the chords until that lick comes up. And this is how we start off practicing this. chord. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 1. Here's a G chord. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 1. So I'll just sit down and do that over and over again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 1. Okay, cool. So that's how I'll start off. That's very, very basic. You're like, that's not even shred. What's going on? But we're following the must-know principles of keeping melody king and looking at shred licks as a drummer, and that we have to place them within the rhythm properly. So we're going to do the same thing, but now we're going to make it a 16th note triplet. So it's going to be 6 notes. Starting on beat 4, we have 6 notes instead of 4 notes at our disposal. Before, we just had 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to play a little bit faster, 16-note triplets, and we're just going to do this, pentatonic. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. And we're going to come in on the same beat that we just did with that previous lick. Here's a G chord. 1, 2, 3. We just practice that over and over and over again, and we get that down. So now we have 2 different variations. Now let's do this. Let's move it up. We're going to do a little Eric Johnson dealio. We're going to do that. So, but for this, we have to come in on beat 3 over the G chord now. So this is going to be beat 3, beat 4, and then downbeat of the C chord. Right, so this is 16-note triplet again. This is using an Eric Johnson pattern. So let's hear how this sounds. 1, 2. We're still practicing. Alright, so now that sounded fantastic. Just throw it in there. That's all pentatonic so far. Now let's do the same concept, but using some major scale, maybe 3-note string ideas. Let's just go back down to here. Remember the first thing that the first idea that we first worked on looked like that. So let's do this. Let's make it a major scale sounding things by doing the same thing though. So instead of following the pentatonic on the high E and B, we're going to play the major scale. we're gonna end the same, but we're gonna change it. Instead of 16th notes, we're gonna play 16-note triplets, so 6 notes per beat. Let's try it out. It's the same concept, but we'll make it a little longer. Let's actually make it super cool. Let's go. Let's actually... Yeah, let's do that. So we're, in this case, we're going 8, 7, 5, 8, 6, 5. That's coming out on beat 3. Then on beat 4, 10, 8, 7, 10, 8, 6 on the B there. And then we're going to slide up to 13, which is our C note. Right there. So, no, actually, we'll just do that. No, I lied. We're not going to do the slide. Right? You could do the slide, but we're going to actually just go. We're going to hit the 5th of C, which is a G note right here on the B string. So that's beat 3, 4, downbeat of the chord change there. So let's go back. Let's do it. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is way too simple, way too easy. There's no way it's that easy to add shred into your playing. But the reality is it is that simple, that easy. It's more of a math equation than anything else. Obviously, you need to have good rhythm and timing and a lot of practice over the same chord progression, same backing track, and pre-strategize what you're going to play. We don't improvise random shred looks and expect to get better because of that. No, we strategize and we go over and over and over again, day in, day out, and we try to be as creative as possible as well. But we're always following the principles that melody is king, and we're looking at throwing our shred licks in like a drummer does drum fills. We need to start at the right time and end at the right time, no matter what. All right, and those are some pentatonic and some major scale ideas right there. There's tons more that we could do, but that's, you know, a couple little ideas to get you started. All right, step 5 is to compose your own 30 seconds to 1 minute long solos over whatever specific chord progression that you're working on. And I'd actually recommend that you compose like 5 or 10 variations of this solo over the same chord progression and try to figure out, mathematically sit down with it. It might take you a couple months to do this. You sit down and you try to come up with the best melody first. And then after you get the strong melody laid out, you go in and you're like, oh, I could do a little run right there into that melody right there. Or I could do a little thing there. I could do a little thing there. And then you strategize how you can throw in different shred licks at different speeds too. You can do 16 notes. You can do triplets. You can do 16-note triplets. You can do 30-second notes. It depends on the song and the chord progression. But you strategize that. You start off by writing a melody, and then you fill in the gaps when you want to with shred, and then you practice and master those solos. Now, you can still just practice improvising over these backing tracks, but what I found is if you compose 5 to 10 different solos per chord progression that you work on, your improvisation over that particular chord progression and your ability to throw in shred ideas easily skyrockets, right? You start seeing the fretboard in this massively connective way, and you're comfortable all over the fretboard. You know it sounds good, you know it doesn't sound good, and you know how to connect in and out of melodies with shred licks. So step 5, everyone should do this, and you need to compose your own solos. And I recommend maybe 30 seconds to a minute, not longer than that, maybe even shorter than that. It depends on the circumstance. I wouldn't try to write a 5-hour long solo, but 1 minute's kind of a long solo anyway. So like 30 seconds is a good range, maybe even 15 seconds. I probably wouldn't do like 10 seconds, that might be too short. But yeah, probably 15 to 30 seconds depending on the chord progression and the speed of the track, and write 5 to 10 variations, master those, and start melody first. Think like a drummer. Oh, I can spice up here. I can add a transition just like a drummer does with the shred lick into this new area of the story that I want to tell with the solo, and practice those every day, master them. Also improvise. You'll watch your improvising, your ability to naturally throw in shred just flourishes because of this. And after you master one backing track or chord progression, go to a new chord progression and backing track and work on that and do the same process. And so you master like 5 to 10 different chord progressions and backing tracks. Once you've done that, you will just naturally be able to just pick up and play guitar, play melodies, and shred whenever you want to. And you're almost going to place it pretty much perfectly, probably 80% of the time. It's still, you know, a dicey territory to improvise perfectly placed shred licks. But by doing this, probably 89% of the time, you can improvise almost composed sounding solos because you've just done it so many times. You've been around the block. You've done it. You're so experienced with different chord progressions and composing solos and throwing shred licks in and all that. But keep in mind, melody is king. And we don't start off by shredding by doing just endless runs all over the fretboard forever. It's small little drum fill ideas that might be 1 beat long, 2 beats long, maybe a measure long. It depends, right? But start off small with 1 beat. How can I do a shred lick in 1 beat? How can I do a shred lick in 2 beats? All the way to like a 4 measure long shred lick, right? But we don't start off. A lot of guys want to start off in like these 4 to 8 measure shred licks, and that's just unattainable at first. It's too much. All right, so I hope this video helped you guys out step by step of how to easily add shred licks into your playing. This has been the proven formula that I and many of my students have used over the years to be able to do this. And it just works. You got to obviously be consistent day in and day out, be creative, and practice over and over again. But you'll see constant progress and results within days, and within weeks and months, you'll be absolutely a way better shredder than you've ever been. All right, thank you guys so much for watching the video, and I'll see you next time.